All right, Smirnoff, official vodka of the NFL, world's #1 vodka. Chris Cody, you're with me here.
Smirnoff!
Wow, you're on the money with Smirnoff.
Smirnoff!
I'm going to ask you, Chris, what's your favorite game day food?
Smirnoff!
That's your favorite game day drink. What's your favorite game day food?
Smirnoff!
All right, here's the deal. Game day is everything. The noise, the rituals, the passion, the dip, the wings, the dip again.
Smirnoff!
Smirnoff belongs in that mix because if you're tailgating or hosting or just sitting there checking your fantasy lineup every 30 seconds, you need Smirnoff. Otherwise, it's not a real game day. They've been doing it since 1864, which is, I don't even want to do the math. It's a long time. It's like when Greg Cody was born. They're award-winning. They make cocktails super easy, and they're all about bringing fans together. So yeah, we do game days. That's their thing. And if you're over 21, you should too. Why, Chris?
Smirnoff!
Grab a bottle of
Smirnoff!
at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day.
Smirnoff!
Please drink responsibly.
Smirnoff!
Number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume, the
Smirnoff!
Company. New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Smirnoff!
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
At Sierra, discover joyous deals on great gifts for everyone on your list. Like cozy slippers, ski gear, fishing poles, bikes, large kayaks, even larger canoes. Whew. Which might lead to another discovery. Wrapping gifts is the only sport you need to stay fit this season. 'Tis the season to discover great gifts at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching men to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Before I get to one of the rarest of things ever seen around here, the righteous Roy rage, because we have converted, and I think this might just be Jeremy that converted it, but I don't think I've ever seen Roy this impassioned about feeling wronged around sports, because he keeps going back to 2000. He keeps going back to a scar from 25 years ago when Miami was argued out of a championship back then in a way that was clearly unreasonable to anybody who's ever watched football.
Well, yeah, and it's also important to point out as well, Roy, not just that they didn't qualify for the game, but the team that made it ahead of them scored 2 points in the championship.
It's ridiculous. Now, granted, yes, they lost to Washington, who was 15th ranked, right? But they worked their way back up to 7th in the AP poll. Wow. Beat Florida State.
It was the first game of the year, Washington.
The second game.
Oh,
Second game.
The first game of the year shouldn't have crazy relevance, Zaslow? The loss in the first week of the season shouldn't be carrying weight at the end of the year? How interesting how your argument changes 25 years later when your program is benefiting from it.
Roy, he's talking to you.
No.
We can't shut him up.
I'm with Roy.
He's James.
That was a rough year. Remember, Oregon also beat Washington, so they also had like a weird head-to-head argument.
Forget about that. The argument's Miami and FSU.
Yeah, Miami was ranked number 2 in all the polls, but the BCS had Miami behind FSU, who Miami beat earlier in that year. The national title game was the Orange Bowl, if you remember.
13-2.
Yeah.
What a disgrace.
Yeah, Miami would have rolled that Oklahoma team.
Would have killed them.
They absolutely would have. And
killed them.
And they beat number 2 Virginia Tech.
Okay, look, I have found it interesting, okay? I really have found this interesting, what we're about to talk about, because Lane Kiffin is the greatest of the used car salesmen who has realized through the bowels of what Nick Saban built, we're going to dilute all this shit so much that what used to be one loss kills you. One loss kills you so that we still remember it 20 years later. All right, Dorsey went up to Washington and lost on the road in the second game of the season. Otherwise, Miami's unbeaten, right? But unbeaten doesn't matter anymore. Like, that's ridiculous. Ohio State and Indiana are going to play, and all that unbeaten gets them is a bye, which isn't, it's not nothing, but it's still not much considering what the stakes of that game would be. And this is the best Indiana team we've ever seen, right? Like, this is the top of the sport can now be run by grifter Lane Kiffin being most griftery because he does not care about whatever you think the sanctuary of sports are. It's a business venture, and if you told him when he got to Mississippi, day he signed, hey, Lane, you're going to be able to springboard this into the LSU job, he would have said, yep, can we speed it up? Can we make that faster? Because I'm only here to get there. I'm only here. Like, this is as cutthroat as any we've seen in terms of cutting through the bullshit of what the bureaucracy of this machine is, the economy of it. Lane Kiffin ruled it just because Florida wanted something, and LSU said, nah, we've been embarrassed enough by Brian Kelly and this. We're going to fix it right now with 13-25 for his career against ranked teams. That has never had expectations. Lane Kiffin, like, not in college sports, because what the burning path that Lane Kiffin has built to this rehabilitation is staggering, where it's like, yep, $12 million a year, I'll take whatever job I want, I won't recruit. It's just for play calling. Get me the athletes, I'll call the plays, and I'll do something here that feels surgical, because I did it with small players at FAU, and I could take it anywhere. And Mississippi, I don't care about you. Yeah, I'll do the whole Marty Smith dance in a barn or a field, but Lane Kiffin was always Boca. Lane Kiffin was never Mississippi. Lane Kiffin went to Mississippi just so that he could get back to something that felt more like Boca. Can I get to the Tampa Bay Bucks head coaching job? Can I get back to Florida?
But how different is Baton Rouge?
That's Baton Rouge it's different than Mississippi. Look, Mississippi is the poorest. Mississippi in our country has a lot of poverty that you feel everywhere, and the fact that he's won by what he was calling a brown lake to rehabilitate himself so that he could get to the point where he could choose between LSU and Florida could get its SEC feelings hurt because LSU big boyed them. LSU, after embarrassing themselves in the Brian Kelly sweepstakes, they want to play at the top of the sport, and they're willing to give the job to just call the plays. Like, we don't care what else you do. Just call the plays for our athletes because we've got the athletes to beat Oklahoma on the road. And we feel like we can win with Les Miles and we can win with Ed Orgeron. And we're LSU. We deserve to be at the top of this conference. To see the business of this play out over the weekend, it was greasy, it was gross, and it's the truest thing you'll ever see. Like, Lane Kiffin cut through the swamp of this just to get to Baton Rouge, and then the next job, he hopes, will be whatever the professional one is when he gets to be a genius because everybody wants him to be the next Saban.
At what point when he was praying on what decision to make, did he realize I should also threaten my coaching staff? They have to come with me now or never come at all.
I don't know how real that part was. I mean, clearly a lot of the coaches.
The praying part?
Well, about the threat. More so the implications, as it might have been implied, but the entire offensive staff appears to be on that plane with Lane to Baton Rouge.
Can I go down this path, please? Because, Zaz, I know that you've been close to this, close to college football. You've done some reporting. You were the first to report on.
I reported over a week ago on ESPN Radio. No one seems to give me that hat tip.
Yeah. That's incredible. You're not getting credit for reporting this accurately?
Wait a minute.
That's amazing.
Okay, so he did report, though, on ESPN. Lane Kiffin was going to LSU, but Mike Ryan has also learned a great deal about the business of this and was texting both me and...
You're on the come up, Mike. I'll admit.
Thank you.
Me and Zaz all weekend. Before the news broke, Mike Ryan knows the people who are talking about the things that would sort of give him information around Lane Kiffin that I believe he has that no one else would have, just because Mike's sort of looking at all of this, interested in the business of it, but also with some journalistic standards of his own. And so the information he's giving you...
Why are you asking that as a question? Like we
because he wanted me to confirm. I can confirm.
We kicked everybody's ass on a Lane story. Like we were a week week ahead of everything.
Yup.
We were telling you who was faking it, what was posturing. We were telling you what was going to happen.
And then we learned who doesn't have any journalistic integrity because I didn't see any of them credit me.
So I'll get back to that.
I don't like this bit.
No, well, it's not a bit. Zaslow.
The one where he texts me what's going to happen and then takes credit for it, I don't like it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry about how I get my information. You know what? That's exactly how I'm going to leave it. Don't worry. That was actually a good line. Don't worry how I get my information.
You get it from me.
Did I? You not
Just
hear what I
reveal
said?
the source.
Did you not hear what I said?
You don't reveal sources.
Don't worry how I get my information.
He's not. He's just saying. He's just protecting his journalistic standards.
I should learn from him.
Look, you're in the shadows of. You've known everything that's going on here, and I do believe people need to see with the maximum sort of reported details, because we've learned in recent years that some insiders are bought and that
No one could ever buy me.
The information,
unless they give me enough money.
Mike, you have to have been on the inside of what felt dirty, where Lane Kiffin is treating all of this as like privately. I'm the coach who gives the least amount of bleeps. I don't care whether I coach the last game or not. I'd like to.
I think he cared.
He did, but it's not for the reasons that everyone's saying. Yeah, he wants to be there for the kids and win a national title. That's on the list. But the last week of posturing has been just, are we going to fire Lane? Or is LSU going to give us money for taking him? This is all about Lane wanting his contract and LSU coming to the table and Ole Miss not wanting to have to pay Lane to fire him, even though they told him you can't come into work. So that's what's been happening over the last week. Lane made his decision last Friday. As we told you during that show, there's a decision happening today, and it doesn't look like it's going to be Florida. The last week has been, let's see what happens in the SEC title game, and let's argue about, are we going to fire you, or is LSU going to pay us to take you? And that fight is still going on.
What would have happened if Auburn came back and won that game Saturday night? Because we were all sitting around waiting all day long for the decision that
Mainly
was
Marty
expected.
Smith.
And then it became a thing where it's like, all right, well, what if Auburn wins tonight? Or, that's clearly what we're waiting for now. What if Auburn did win that game?
I happen to think, not happen to know, but I think if Ole Miss was in that SEC title game, then a loss again can hurt them because the committee could say, look, your coach is leaving. You have 2 losses now. You're not going to be the same team going forward.
Oh, you think the committee could possibly penalize teams for losing in the conference championship game?
It's in their criteria. It's literally spelled out.
They didn't do that last year.
It's spelled out. I think they're good because they won the Egg Bowl. But if they lost the Egg Bowl, I can tell you, they'd be out. They'd be out.
I really did think, okay, let me backtrack a little bit on this Lane story because, Mike, I'd like you to gather yourself and just give me the 5 most interesting morsels that you have seen in just being interested on how the mechanics of all of this works, where Lane Kiffin goes through the Nick Saban path of rehab to professional coaches stop here for a second before they get on to that next thing. Sarkisian got the best job in the sport and got it fairly quickly. So, and Cristobal, after failing at FIU, leaving FIU, how would we appraise?
Fired.
How fired at
was all Pete
FIU?
Garcia.
Okay, but fine.
Sneaky
But
Pete.
ends up rehabilitating his career by going through Nick Saban. I'd like the 5 most interesting things you have. I felt bad for Marty Smith this weekend. I've been calling Marty Smith. I keep checking in on him. He has aged a great deal over the course of the weekend.
That seems like Photoshop.
No, this is what happened to Marty. He's very healthy and he's fit, but you cannot be near that Brown Lake in Mississippi and chase Lane Kiffin around for 36 hours without being made totally crazy. That's the worst assignment of Marty Smith's career. That man's been on the White House lawn throwing a football. He didn't live to dodge fire trucks in Mississippi trying to get to the bottom of whether Lane Kiffin is going to get his next grift at Florida, LSU, or stay at Mississippi for all the money in the world.
It's not Nick Saban that was out there as the college coach free agent. Lane Kiffin has never coached a playoff game. It's crazy, the coverage that we've done over this.
Game Time is the official ticketing partner of the Dan Le Batard Show, and I cannot wait to get out to some NFL games this season. As the games increase in importance, the tickets are harder to come by, and nothing beats being in that stadium with everybody losing their minds. But like I said, tickets, not so easy. So why don't you download the Game Time app, because from my experience, that's where I always turn to find the best deal. But take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets. Game Time gives the advantage back to us, the fans. It's a hack for grabbing amazing tickets in just a couple of taps. Super easy to use, totally trustworthy, and the Game Time guarantee means you're getting 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. And yes, fees included. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Folks, fuel your game day with the unbeatable crunch of Hampton Farms, the official peanut of bowl season. Perfect for sharing with friends, tailgating outside the stadium, or cheering from the couch. Grab a bag from the produce aisle of your local grocery store and savor the game one peanut at a time. Let's get nutty.
It's the holidays and the 50th anniversary of Miller Lite. The holidays are all about gathering around with family and friends, so why don't you bring out a cornucopia of that beautiful white can Miller Lite, or draft, whatever it is. You know it's going to be a special time when you bring out Miller Lite, because Miller Lite makes special time Miller time. Whether it's a late night hang after the holiday party or standing around a fire pit with the fam, Miller Lite just fits. It's a taste you know you can depend on. Brewed for flavor with simple ingredients like malted barley, rich balanced toffee notes, and that iconic golden color. And at 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, it lets you enjoy the season without weighing you down. The original light beer since 1975 and still hitting different 50 years later. The best holiday beers are the ones you don't expect. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. 'Tis Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Le Batard.
Mike Ryan's in there, and he's the one with a baby. He's the one who's got to, worry about what the future is. And Mike Ryan bet on DraftKings because Mike Ryan bet on us. This is the bet you're afraid of doubling down on? Putting up a billboard in Edmonton?
Stugotz.
I care more about Matthew Tkachuk than I do my daughter.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
It is sheer lunacy, but it's about fame. It's what they've done with the mercenary. Brian Kelly will buy your coach. Oh, you're embarrassing. Never mind. Marcus Freeman is the new hot thing. Brian Kelly, you're out. We'll burn through it quicker now because LSU has the money allegedly to get in the game. Because when I read, if you guys are reading any of the details on how Brian Kelly and LSU were fighting over this money and how silly some of it was, and in some cases, they don't always know if they have the money. They'll sort of just figure it out by bringing a swirl around their program. Look, Colorado's going to pay for years of Colorado football just because what Deion did with what we were doing with coaches. So, of course, if that's what we're going to make the coaches as the hood ornaments of the business, are you famous? What Lane Kiffin is, it's not win or win with expectations. What Lane Kiffin has done the best in his rehab tour, because he has called plays, that's right up there, but it's also being a personality of Renegade that says bleep you, who clearly doesn't seem to care very much what you think of him in any sort of way, professionally or personally, but will say after the slate of games this weekend, the most important game is the one I'm going to tonight with my son, Knox. That's the only game that matters.
And we told you Knox had all the influence here when it came to Lane going to LSU. All right, I have a top 5, and it's not just about Lane. It's about all the ramifications of Lane's decision, and all this stuff is buttoned up journalistically in a way that you're not getting anywhere else. Number 1.
Number 5.
Well, yeah, number 5. John Sumrall was initially kind of a joke at the start of this entire process. John Sumrall.
Mike, do you not know how to play this game? Do you want to start?
There's a lot of dancing here.
Look, no, you're not dancing well. Look,
all right, let's start it again.
Doesn't always start.
That's okay.
We start with 1 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I got it. No more interruptions. Okay. Here we go. Number 5. John Sumrall was initially a joke in this experience. Auburn was being applied a lot of pressure from LSU and Florida when there were initial leaks about John Sumrall being linked to both LSU and Florida. And part of that was LSU and Florida were trying to get John Sumrall hired over at Auburn.
Did you, Zaslow, report anything about this on ESPN?
Yeah, I said Summerall is going to be announced as the Florida Gator head coach on Sunday.
Before Mike or
I
after
said that
Mike?
on Friday night.
You said that before me, but after my text to him.
Yo, what did I already tell you about that?
I have the proof.
This is a very awkward situation that we have going on
I
here.
want people to come out against Adam Schefter like that.
Well,
like,
but-
I told Adam.
Well,
Number 4.
are you using Zaz as a puppet?
Number 4. No, someone's being used, and it's very clearly me. Number 4.
Wait a minute.
Zaz is just checking in on you.
is
Mike,
that
how's
what-
it going?
Zaz,
Yeah.
Wait a
How do you
minute.
know? How do
Wait.
you know I got it from you?
Look, Zaz has been reporting things weeks ahead of everybody else. Weeks ahead of accurately. He hasn't gotten a thing wrong yet. Correct?
Maybe you're like my third source.
You referred to Kiffin to LSU as done a week ago.
Yup, over a week ago. I said it on ESPN.
Why are your things not getting traction?
I don't know. That's what I already said. Anyone out there who tweets out about Lane Kiffin and Summerall too, for that matter, and you don't do that hat tip. You know what? You know about that hat tip, Dan? That's when you do the H and you do the slash and the T. That means you're giving somebody credit on Twitter. That's how hat tip works.
It shouldn't be.
Have some integrity.
You know how top 5s work.
That stands for hat tip?
That does stand for hat tip.
Why did I think it was hashtag?
Look, but I think Zaslow deserves more than this. Zaslow is breaking the news and not getting any credit for being an insider.
Are you serious?
What is the list of things?
Yeah. Okay. So there was Lane Kiffin. Also,
Is this your list or Mike's? Where are we?
This is the list. I came in here 3 Mondays ago, I think it was, and what did I say that morning? I said Nico Harrison gonna get fired today.
I think you posed it as a question.
Nope.
No. No.
But it was still a good thought of like, could he get fired today? Like you did it.
Okay, you pronounced report wrong. It was a good report. Nico Harrison got fired that day.
It wasn't a question. It was a report. And did we forget to say it?
Yeah.
He came into the meeting with that news, and it broke 2 hours later.
True.
My fault.
Dan,
My fault.
I have
True
bombshell
story.
reporting here. Please read what is on your screen
Yo,
right
this is
now.
bullshit.
This is a timestamp from Friday.
This is unprecedented.
You can
what's
go
going
ahead
on
and
here.
read word for word, play by play.
A source outing the reporter.
You can read play by play here if you'd like.
Unprecedented. What is happening here?
Can you go ahead and read this? Friday,
Jealous.
4/21. It's freezing here in Norman. I'm completely unprepared for this weather. Worse than last week. I'm embarrassed. That
True
is a
story.
text. Can you confirm that this is a text from you?
True story.
All right, I volunteer that it's 17 in Pittsburgh, and what, you were dealing with 40 degrees in
Yeah, but it was
Norman?
really windy.
Zaz goes, do you have a coat? I don't. I didn't even bring my hooded sweatshirt.
Yeah, see, I'm just checking in on you here.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, I brought that because I'm an adult. Zaz, I'm embarrassed. And then, let's scroll down. This is still Friday. Summerall to Florida will be announced Sunday. Lane to LSU tomorrow. I'm going to announce it on ESPN tonight. Your intentions are spelled out.
You know
me
what?
saying I'm going to stop
This
telling
is
you,
such
and
a
you just
betrayal.
slapping me in the face
This
with I'm
is
an insider.
such a
You know
betrayal.
what? You know what? Leave that on the screen. This is not even a betrayal. Dan, calm down. You don't even have to be upset for me, okay? Because nowhere here. Thank you for the proof. Thank you, Mike, for helping me out here. Because nowhere did I ask for anything. I didn't ask any questions. You just all of a sudden said... You all of a sudden
like
said
evidence that you've asked?
Summerall to Florida will be announced Sunday, Lane to LSU tomorrow. I read that on my end. I'm like, yeah, I already know that. So I'm going to tell Mike
Are you
I'm
arguing that
going
you
to
never asked?
announce it on ESPN tonight.
Hold on. Be very careful here. Are you arguing that you never ask me what's going to happen?
I'm telling you.
Because I got that text too,
in this
Zaz.
situation,
I got that text too.
I already knew this.
Oh, it was just implied. Like, of course. Why is this guy telling me the obvious
I
thing?
didn't imply shit. You just
Okay.
all of a sudden decided
Number
to say
4.
something that I knew.
You know
Number
what?
4.
Wait. Just we'll get to number 4 in a second, Mike. I do want to come back here though, in defense of Zaz here.
What are you doing?
Because
in defense of, he is just. It is obvious what he is doing.
No.
Head to head has to matter.
First of all, it's obvious what you're doing, which is trying to out yourself as a source when he has not confirmed that you're a source. And what I thought was
I'll go
proof.
to jail for my source.
This is gaslighting.
Put it back up on the screen, please. What I initially thought was you providing clear and obvious proof that you were the one that gave Zaz that information.
I'll go to jail before I reveal my source.
These text exchanges do not actually confirm your case because it could be read that Zaslow was saying to you,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm going to report it tonight.
Yep.
And you're saying, I'm never telling you anything again.
I don't care.
And you saying, you don't care. I'm an insider.
Yeah.
I don't need you.
Sick. You know what that was, Mike? Played yourself.
Put it on the poll, please, at Batard Show. Did Mike Ryan play himself? Number 4, Mike.
I would like some context there. Number 4, Scott Strickland in all this. Scott Strickland is the AD. So remember what I told you in number 5. I know we have quite a amount of time that has gone between number 5 and number 4. I'm aware of that. So initially, John Summerall was just being invoked to kind of force Auburn's hand. Once it became clear last Friday that Lane Kiffin was not going to Florida, Florida has a problem on their hands because they were convinced Lane was going there. They were convinced. And now they have to go to a backup plan. Scott Strickland, he has got a booster issue, and he's embattled over there despite being on a hot seat, even though he won a national title in basketball.
They're also a basketball school.
He won a national title, and yet he's on the hot seat. So he's got a clash. Boosters that feel wronged by Lane Kiffin, because he kind of did wrong them, that want to make a huge splash, and him seizing on this opportunity like, the Lane thing was a Lane thing, but now I want a head coach that I can control. And I don't want to go after Lincoln Riley like you're telling me to. I don't want to go after Dabo like you're telling me to. We're losing time here. We can't get caught with our pants down even more. We have to hit this ground running. So after John Summerall initially canceled a meeting with Florida because he knew he was a pawn in all of this, they come back to John Summerall and offer him half. It wasn't their first choice. Eli Drinkwitz over at Missouri was. But Scott Strickland kind of wants to control the head coach. He doesn't want a strong personality over there. And in digging on Eli, he realized he kind of pushed out the last AD in Mizzou. I don't like that. I'm going with Summerall.
So there's a lot of information there, Zaslow, and I want to tackle some of it here because in the business of sport, what everyone just saw publicly is after stumbling through the Brian Kelly stuff, LSU still looked over in Florida and said, no, we want him.
That's number 3. Brian Kelly got fired because Billy Napier got fired. That's why it timed out the way that it did. Because everyone knew Lane was going to Florida. This was an open secret. The grounds, the plans were laid down on the ground for this like 2 years ago. If everybody knew, if Billy Napier struggled, Lane Kiffin was going to be the guy. Under normal circumstances, Brian Kelly would finish the season, but these weren't normal circumstances. LSU wanted to throw its bleep on the table and say, you think you're getting Lane Kiffin? We're a much better job. We're not this clown show, even though the governor's getting involved. We'll tidy it up, and we'll offer Lane the same amount of money. And if all things are equal, we're the better job. By the way, Summerall ended up accepting an offer for half of what Florida was offering Lane Kiffin.
So that deserves more fanfare there. I also just
He happens to know?
Yeah, I mean, that, okay, but I thought literal fanfare as opposed to, because he says.
Yeah! That felt like we got some, that felt like I happened to know within the top 5.
But and as you see the tectonic plate shift on salaries, because, I mean, you're looking at Missouri and Vanderbilt are in the SEC game. They've never played in that actual top tier before, right? So this is Vanderbilt's first 10-win season ever, I think. Mm-hmm. And Missouri just got Drinkwitz $10 to $11 million a year, $12 million a year, as Lane goes to LSU for $12 million a year.
It's going to be more than that. Summerall and Eli share an agent, too, so that was ever present here.
The shifting of away from Brian Kelly into the next hot thing, it's funny and it's short-sighted, but let's get to number 2 here, because the amazing thing about Lane, again, I keep saying it, 13 and 25 against ranked teams, he's not willing to recruit. He's just there to call plays and be the face for your program. Like, this is a person who's saying, with not a great winning record against ranked teams, I'm only willing so hard to work at these parts of the job. The one I want to do is I call plays on Saturday. That's what I do. Get me the best players, and I'll run your business from calling plays on Saturday.
And just the brand alone guarantees you top 5 in high school recruiting. Ole Miss does really well in recruiting, but they have to hit the portal hard over there, and Lane isn't really built for year in, year out consistency over at Ole Miss because it's tougher to recruit high school kids. You have one of the best, most talent-rich high school football states in the nation in Louisville. You already have an NIL squad over there and the support from an athletic department that has all these templates that you can plug and play, and Lane Kiffin is actually reveling in that.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot, which means it's time to add new cordless power to your collection. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of our top brands like Ryobi or Milwaukee, you'll get a select tool from that same brand for free. Click into one of our best deals of the season and stock up on tools for all your upcoming projects. Get Black Friday savings happening now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction. Exclusions apply. Full eligible tool list in-store and online.
Don Le Batard.
Ahoy is Captain Slappy.
Stugotz.
Is this Chum Bucket?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
If I can, just for the history of what LSU is as it comes in Big Boys, Florida, okay?
Did I say Louisville? I meant Louisiana.
Nick Saban knows that you climb through that portion of the swamp. Get the best players. You can build your Alabama elsewhere. Just get the best players. It's pretty simple what Nick Saban built. I can't believe that he was able to sustain it with distance for such a long time. But it's his greatest regret, he says, of his career is that that he didn't stay at LSU, that he feels like he could have built all of that at LSU, and he could have, so much so that what he left in his wake, even in that conference, before it became the thing that birthed Missouri's and Vanderbilt's all of a sudden, that are now profit centers out of nowhere. Vanderbilt's first 10-win season ever. Then wins championships for two people in Ed Orgeron and Les Miles that's, let's just say, more of the Neanderthal version of whatever the play caller Lane Kiffin mercenary is. Les Miles and Ed Orgeron aren't the reason the program won. Ed Orgeron had the best team I've ever seen in college football.
Is Orgeron going to be on Lane Kiffin's staff?
I think so.
He'll be recruiting.
Yeah, I think
it's pretty cool.
I told you there's real steam behind that.
So where are we? Real
I don't
steam behind that. Wait a minute. I told you there's real steam behind that. Seems
I don't
like
have imaging for that.
I should have new imaging. I think that there's real steam behind that.
Well, Dan, let me ask you a question because you're an Ed Orgeron insider. You see him running on the beach. Have you seen him running on the beach in the last week?
I have not.
He might be running in the bayou.
Okay. He said he'd take his truck in a day to go meet Lane Kiffin and do
worked on his staff before.
Do the recruiting for him.
Yeah, he's worked on his staff before. So, number 2 in all this. Lane daring Ole Miss to fire him. It's not the kids. I told you this. It's not about the kids. It's not even about the CFP. This is all about money. I understand. It seems like the most obvious thing in the world. Ole Miss being like, we don't want you to be coaching here because you're just going to try to steal our players while you're actively doing it. Signing day is in January. Why would we have a lame duck head coach that will only be, I'm sure he'll try to be winning the games, but he's going to be in that building with our kids trying to steal our guys? I get that. But now you've guaranteed that he's going to be outside your building trying to steal your kids. So there's an argument to be made to just have Lane Kiffin stick around, but I get why Ole Miss is burned and didn't want that. What's going to be fascinating to see is how does this actually shake out? Is he getting fired because he wants to come into work and is being told no? Or is his buyout going to be paid by LSU? I think all that stuff is still being figured out.
How can anyone think it'd be appropriate for him to continue coaching the team for what they would hope would be another month and a half? All right.
I think Summerall's coaching Tulane.
Different situation.
How can anyone think it's okay for, let's say we're at the beginning of January, and instead of getting ready to play in the national semifinal, Lane Kiffin is out recruiting and putting stuff together for, the other team in the SEC, same league, the other team in the SEC he also coaches.
But the lack of perspective that allows a sentence to, just hit off the stray end of the business of this is we can't have Lane around the kids. He'll steal them.
He's going to be outside your building trying to steal your kids. Is a real sentence.
But it's how you build.
He's pissed.
It's how you build the program. Well, okay, so let's examine for a second the real deep history, because I don't know what your number one is here on Lane. Let me be clear about this. I think this is understood, is it not?
What?
Lane Kiffin does not give a about your construct on what you think the business of sports are. He has less give up than anybody. And so Lane Kiffin controlling the entire sport and being covered like he's Nick Saban sends Marty Smith out. Where was he? He's moving around fire trucks. Marty Smith had a very bad 36 hours. I'm trying to get a hold of Marty. Marty is all of a sudden hard to get a hold of. That's never been the case before. But Marty, I am saying that the last 36 hours of Marty Smith's life are something that he did not enjoy. Like maybe getting this is something, but Marty knows what the grift is. He knows he's interviewing a used car salesman. He shouldn't have to chase him around for 36 hours to get the exclusive so that he can interview him on a tarmac that's dusty.
I want to play from the night before. What we're looking at here is the interview when he made his decision. The night before, there's just a 16-second clip of how broken Marty Smith was doing this reporting.
I wrote him at 8:46 Central Time and said, "Will there be a resolution tonight? Please, God in heaven, tell me yes."
So that's where he was late
That's
into the
not
night.
journalism, Marty. Marty, this is not journalism we're doing when you're chasing someone around a fire truck and saying, "Please end this, sir. Put me out of my misery."
Will there be a resolution tonight? Please, God in heaven, tell me yes.
He knows this is wrong what they're doing to Marty Smith.
When Marty was given that gig, he definitely thought it was going to be like one stand-up and then go
Come
home,
on.
right?
Come
Please,
on.
God in heaven,
We can't
tell
be
me
in
yes.
on the grift of the business of this so much that we.
Please, God in heaven, tell me yes.
Marty's like, let me get back to the football. Football Saturdays are fun. What is this nonsense? Having to chase Lane Kiffin around. I know
Please,
what.
God in heaven, tell me yes.
Lane, I know what you are. We all know what you are who cover the sport. We kind of like it. We kind of like that you're dirty. You tell the truth.
But then he got him for that interview, and he asked all the right questions. It was a 5-minute interview. It was just, it was all
All right,
And
so-
Lane gave him the proper amount of time. Lane and Marty go way back.
All
They
right,
have
so
a great
is
relationship.
Mississippi? What sounds worth playing here on where Mississippi's going to get back, get mad before we get to Mike's number one?
Let's just play the first one where Lane just kind of gives him credit for all the reporting he's done.
Well, first, I just watched you do something unbelievable and go off-road around the fire trucks to get here. So, amazing job by you. You know that this was a very challenging, difficult day. You know, we went through a lot last night with Keith Carter trying to figure out a way, to make this playoff, run work and be able to coach the team. And at the end of the day, that's his decision. And I totally respect that. I understand that decision. And, so I just totally wish the team the best of luck, wish that I was coaching, but understand that it was a very challenging position for him and the Chancellor to be in, and totally respect that. So, just really, really hope they play really well and go win the national championship.
Lane Kiffin's going to be outside your building trying to steal your kids.
It's wild. He's like, you went around a fire truck. Like, what if Marty Smith got arrested trying to do this
I think
report?
Marty did. I'm guessing that Marty Smith
Scheffler situation.
had a rented truck and did go off-roading. I think that Marty broke the law in order to get that interview, but also questioned his life and his self-worth while he did so.
Please, God in heaven, tell me yes.
This is not what we do with our sources, Marty. You know better than this. Let's hear Lane saying that he is also mad and hurt because he can't go back and talk to his team, and the professional of this doesn't even allow him to be human.
Again, I totally respect Keith's decision.
So that was his decision?
Yeah. He asked me not to come to the meeting and said I couldn't come, but which I totally understand. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. We're trying to find a way, to make this work and coach the team and give the team the best chance to win. But I also, he's got a job to do, and like he said, he has to live here. Like he said, maybe all the national people understand why he should let me coach, but he has to live here, and it's a little different when you're the AD. So totally respect that. And Keith has been amazing to us over the 6 years.
You can't commit to go work for a competing rival and stay in your current job for possibly another 2 months.
Oh, but I thought that he has to live here was an elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sound, oh my God. Like, in terms of Lane trying to publicly do this is about God and family, and I got an important game with Knox tonight that's the most important game in my life, as he has to do that to keep up the veneer of this. I thought for him to hit him in the elbow with something that is he has to live here,
Like
which makes it
he has to live here.
which makes it sound like, well, he's got to live with the fandom as I take off in a private jet. He has to live in the community, but it's also the slight of you have to live here. I never wanted to live here.
Oh, I thought it was just the former there.
So, like you said, maybe all the national people understand why he should let me coach, but he has to live here.
That is actually worse than he has to live here, which is like he's kind of small time in Ole Miss. I understand why everyone in the nation would want me coaching Ole Miss because I am the program, but he's got to live here.
This is how you graduate to all the things Lane Kiffin has graduated toward. What else from that interview is worth playing, Chris?
I think we hit the good stuff there. That was pretty revelatory, him volunteering to Marty that they were working on an agreement that protected Ole Miss. Obviously, Ole Miss wasn't satisfied with the level of protection, but now...
How can they be protected?
I get it does seem like the most obvious thing in the world, but now he doesn't have any restrictions or an agreement in place, and he's got the power of LSU, and he's already shitposting spot the ball. So he's going to be coming after your kids full bore now while you're trying to avoid a college football playoff distraction. I don't think you're going to get that. I think Lane Kiffin's going to try to acquire
Ole Miss
talent.
gets to keep their integrity.
No, but hold on.
That matters.
Does
though.
it?
That matters when you're spurned like this. When someone says you're not good enough for me, I'm going elsewhere. Basically, at that point, all you have is your integrity.
But they're not good enough for him, and they won't be as good as they are right now. They have a legitimate chance to win in the college football playoff with the most creative offensive mind in the sport, with a great offense that can go win this thing. And to have him now devoting all of his time to this other program, at least make him do a time split. Even if he was there trying to recruit your kids over, ultimately, and stealing your kids from outside of your building, he'd be doing it from inside of the building where he could help lead them to a championship. We've seen coaches do this before. We've seen coaches that have gone elsewhere, started recruiting for the other school, flown back, coached their team into these important bowl games, and it's ultimately affected them in a negative way.
Okay, but it would be coach them in a bowl game.
How do you know?
No, I'm talking about past examples. Like, past examples was coaching in a bowl game, when now it's coaching the team for almost another 2 months.
Well, it was
During
already a
signing
month
day
and a half.
Signing day falling in that window. The difference now is National Signing Day happens while the college football playoff is going on.
Having him be distracted while trying to coach Ole Miss can only help you if you're Ole Miss and you're getting your next coach in line. To me,
I'll say it. This calendar's wacky.
It is. It really is.
No, but you know what? That's a cop-out, man, the whole calendar thing. Lane Kiffin made a choice to go coach somewhere else. Who cares what the calendar is?
Wacky calendar.
Okay, it's a wacky calendar, but again, do you realize we're laughing? Think about what we're talking about here. Marty Smith has been aged by the process of Lane Kiffin will be outside your building trying to steal your kids. It's asinine. It's just the silliest of the stupidity.
He has to live here.
Around all of this money, we're just judging the games with arguments, and it's not real. It's all made for television bullshit, and Lane Kiffin runs the business. Mike, what's number one?
Let's go full circle with number one, because John Summerall went from pawn, knowing he was a pawn, to having an offer on the table from Auburn and having an offer on the table from Florida midweek that he was trying to... Sorry, that's my bad. Trying to decide between Auburn and Florida. The decision was made. He knew that he was a pawn for Florida and a backup plan, but Auburn was forcing him to keep guys like Durkin on his staff, and he didn't feel like he had the autonomy over his staff at Auburn, which is why he goes back and takes half of what they offered to Lane and landed on Florida.
I think that Zaz is more of an insider than you are.
All right.
You're on the come up.
Cool. I'm just going to leave this segment early.
You can be hurt by that, but Zaslow,
keep working hard.
Gets the...
So did we!
You're a rising star.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Próximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. Cuervo.